By now, it is no secret that trading card games have always held a special place in my heart. In this series, Raikourider and myself will be opening 24 packs or one box of a core Yu-Gi-Oh set. We will continue to open a set in chronological order week after week. We will use these cards to construct a deck and then face off against each other in a best 2 out of 3 match. Each match will have 3 prizes up for grabs, with 2 prizes going to the winner and 1 going to the loser. These prizes can range from individual wildcards, to starter or structure decks, to sealed booster packs, or even event cards that were only handed out at select tournaments. However, we cannot rest on our laurels. Between the ever-evolving nature of the Forbidden and Limited list, the cards that we ourselves choose to remove from the game, and the way that the game itself changes throughout the years, all of our matches will increase in complexity and also remain fresh. This is yet another Yu-Gi-Oh! Progression series. Alright, so unfortunately things did not work as planned last episode. As it turns out, even with the advantage of Max C, we still cannot beat the Karakuri. Go figure. But we made it to a Game 3, which is good, and now Machine Duplication, the card that realistically has made it the ultimate level of bullshit, has been banned, so hopefully we'll be able to catch up now. But we need to discuss Galactic Overlord. This set released in May of 2012, and this set is notable for quite a few different archetypes they've come up with. First off, they've released the Hieratic Dragons. The Hieratics are a series of dragon monsters that basically have the effects of special summoning themselves, either from the graveyard or from the hand, and basically making a bunch of high rank, usually high rank 6 or 7 Dragon-type Xyz monsters as their bosses. This set also introduces our friends the Noble Knights, a group of monsters based on the myth of Arthurian legend from England, and while the concept is already a very cool idea, unfortunately, Noble Knights themselves are kind of a weak archetype. They basically range from unplayable to win more if you've already been set up, so we're probably not going to make use of the Noble Knights. But there is actually one other thing that this set introduces that I'm excited about, and that is the Light Rays. These are a group of monsters that have the effects. They're basically equivalent of the Chaos monsters from before, except instead of being focused on dark, these guys are primarily focused on light. Like, for example, the Light Ray Sorcerer here is basically a light version of Chaos Sorcerer, and basically you can special summon it from your hand if you have 3 or more banished light monsters, and you get to target a banished light monster and a face-up monster on the field. You shuffle your first target into the deck, and then you banish the second target. So basically it gives you access to a few of your own cards that have been banished, while also dealing with your opponents. And the concept of the Light Rays are something I thoroughly enjoy. And the fact that most of them are lower rarity means that we have a good chance of making use of them. So, starting down into the commons, again, we see a lot of things from other archetypes. We see a lot of Photon support. We see the Hieratics showing up. Let's see. Anything else specific here? Light Ray Daedalus is a pretty interesting little common. You can special summon it from your hand by having 4 more light monsters in your graveyard. And then you get to target a field spell once per turn and 2 other cards on the field and destroy them. Now, it means that we have to have a field spell in order to make use of this effect, but that's not that big a deal. And honestly, given the fact that we have a light core in general, if we get a Daedalus, that would be pretty good, because 4 light monsters in the graveyard's not that hard to hit. Scrolling down a little more, honestly, we don't see too much in terms of ridiculous power, just a few cards that are pretty interesting on their own accord. Nitwit Outwit is one I kind of think is fun. You get to discard a monster, and then target a face-up monster that loses attack equal to the attack of the monster that got pitched. It's basically a good way, it works as a decent little battle trick if you want. and it could also cut the attack of a boss monster if they're trying to go to get rid of this card. It does technically go minus in order to use the effect, but if you're able to use it right, then your opponent's going to end up with a weak monster that hopefully ends up getting crashed into your guy. So that's not too bad. Scrolling up towards the short prints, the only one of the four here that's interesting is Storm. You destroy as many spell and traps you control as possible, and then you can destroy as many spell and traps your opponent controls up to the number of ones you destroyed, which is actually kind of an interesting effect, and it works really nicely if you have a bunch of cards that would make use of getting destroyed as well. Then coming up into the rares, Light Ray Sorcerer, as we discussed, is already there. Then we have Light Ray Gearfried, Diabolos. Photon Papilloperative is actually a really good rank 4 Xyz monster. It only requires 2 level 4s, so it's generic. And then you can detach a material, target a monster your opponent's side of the field in defense mode, change it to attack, and it loses 600 attack points. Considering the Karakuris tend to shift their battle positions quite a lot, we could potentially make use of this. It does kind of suck that we're still going to get the attack. They're still going to switch back to defense if we attack them. But at the very least, it helps with a couple other issues. And it's like I said, it's a generic 4. And then Light Ray Grepher is basically the last key Light Ray and rare that we want to discuss. You can special summon it by discarding a level 5 or higher light monster in your hand. And then once per turn, you can discard a light monster and banish a light monster from your deck, which not only helps to facilitate Light Ray Daedalus, but it also helps to facilitate the Light Ray Sorcerer by banishing a light monster as well. So, yeah. These are basically a light version of the Chaos or Dark versions of a lot of monsters, and we can make a lot of good use out of them. As for our super rares, really we don't have too much in the way of super rares that matter. The only one I think would kind of be interesting would be Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger. And because it requires 2 level 7 monsters, but you could also rank it up using a rank 5 or 6 Xyz monster as material. And it has the effect of dealing piercing damage to a defense monster. So if we can make use of this, that would be kind of neat. It's hard to tell if we could or not, but we'll have to look and see. And then scrolling down, we see the Ultras and the Secret Rares. The Ultra Rares here, the big one we want to see is going to be Night Beam. This card has the effect that you could target a set spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it, and they cannot activate that card to chain to this effect. So, that means that even if we hit one of Rai's Solemn Judgments, for example, they can't flip this over to negate that, which is big. And then finally, we can look at the secret rares, and there's actually quite a few big ones here. The first one is number 11, Big Eye, and this is probably the biggest one of them all. Once per turn, you can detach a material, target a monster your opponent controls, take control of that monster permanently, and Big Eye can't attack the turn you use that effect, but that's not that big a deal. If we could get this now, this is going to be a huge benefit for us once we get to the Dragon Rulers. And then the other big one we want to look at is going to be right here, Card D. This card has the effect that it can't be special summoned, and during your main phase 1, if you normal summon this card, then you could tribute it, draw 2, and then it ends your turn. Now, it sucks because it is wasting most of your turn, but if you're early enough that you feel like you can survive a hit, this isn't that bad of a card. So, before we go into our packs, we do need to discuss the March 2012 list. This came out pretty much about 2 months before Galactic Overlord dropped, and basically scrolling down into the notable changes, there's only a couple that actually make a difference here. Glow-a-Bulb goes from 3 straight to Forbidden, so our extra 2 copies are now pretty much useless because basically this card goes Forbidden. I think it gets put to limited 1 time after this point, and then from then on it's Forbidden again. So we're only going to be able to get 1 copy of use anymore. Spore gets Forbidden as well. Trishula goes from 1 to 0, which for us doesn't change anything, especially because we don't have Trishula anyway. Reborn Tengu goes down to 2. Neither of us are making use of it, so it's no big deal. Emergency Teleport goes to 2, which might be useful depending on who has more than one copy. And then finally, Torrential Tribute goes to 2. If Rai has 2 copies, that's a problem. And Call of the Haunted goes to 3, which I believe both of us have 3 copies of this card, so basically we're going to have a lot of revival going on. So, yeah. But before we get into the actual packs, we have to go into Turbo Pack 7, because we still have this in rotation, and we get 3 packs. So flip our first. We see a Seiyaru, a Serpent Knight Dragon, and a Dark Horus. No big deal. Second pack. Another Dark Horus, another Serpent Knight Dragon, another Seiyaru, whatever. And final pack. And nothing important. We see a Kodadama, a Ninjutsu Artist Transformation in a Gear Town, but that's whatever. So, let's get into the actual pulls. Alright, so 24 packs of Galactic Overlord. Let's see what we get. First pack, and right off the bat, a Light Ray Gearfried. I am extremely happy to see this. At least I believe. Let's see. Must be special summoned by having 5 or 4 light monsters with different names in your graveyard. Not that bad. Once per turn, when a spell or trap is activated, you can banish a warrior-type monster from your grave, negate that activation, and destroy it. All face-up monsters you control must be warrior-type to activate this effect. Admittedly, that is a bit of a restriction. However, that's not too bad, especially given the fact that light monsters in general are pretty strong, and we do have 2 copies of Honest, so... Or, I believe we have 2 copies of Honest. I'll have to double-check that. Either way, though, pretty good card to see from the start. And for the rest of the pack, really nothing too specific. I mean, we see a Hieratics Seal of Supremacy, which is kind of interesting. You get to special summon a Hieratic monster from your hand. But the Hieratics aren't going to be as useful to us unless we hit the boss monsters. Ooh, second pack, and we hit a ultra rare, number 25, Force Focus. I actually don't know what this does. So it's 2 level 6 monsters. That's a little rough. Once per turn, during either player's turn, detach a material, target a level 5 or higher effect monster your opponent controls, negate the effects of that monster until the end of the turn. That's actually pretty solid. And honestly, if we could make use of this somehow, that would actually be really good. As for the rest of the pack, we see an Inzektor Giga Cricket, which is kind of neat if we decide to get into the Inzektors and focus on getting those wild cards. And as for the rest of the pack, doesn't really seem to anything too special. I think Camera Clops might be something specific here. If this card attacks a face-up monster on the field, destroy that monster. The defense must be higher than this card's attack to activate the effect. Okay, that's actually not the worst thing in the world, not gonna lie. We get to deal with it before the damage would even take place, so something to pay attention to. And it's a light warrior too, which really helps out with Light Ray Gearfried. Okay, so we see another copy of Storm, which is pretty good. We see a Light Ray Daedalus, I'm happy to see that. And we see an Inzektor Ladybug and Firefly, so more support for the Inzektors if we ever get a chance to go into that. Damn, we hit the Ghost Rare Neo Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon. That's kind of neat. Another Camera Cops too, so that's happy to see. I'm actually not sure what this card does exactly. 3 level 8s. If it's summoned using Galaxy Ice Photon Dragon as any of its materials, all other face-up cards on the field have their effects negated. We actually have a Galaxy Ice Photon, so that's interesting to pay attention to. Once per turn, detach a material from this card. Detach all materials from monsters your opponent controls. Then this card gains 500 attack for each one, and it can attack up to that many times during each battle phase this turn. That's actually a really freaking strong card. The only downside is the fact that it requires 3 level 8 monsters. So, yeah, honestly, the tough part there is just getting Galaxy Eyes and 2 other 8s on the field. But it's a good card nonetheless. Ooh, a Light Ray Sorcerer. I'm happy to see one of those. We see a Nitwit Outwit, so I guess we could make use of that potentially. And then the rest of the pack doesn't seem too important. Another Force Focus. Holy hell. I mean, again, the tough part is getting enough level 6 monsters out, but that's actually a pretty solid card. And honestly, the rest of the pack I don't think is anything too spectacular, but honestly, that's not that big a deal. Ooh, we hit an Xyz unit ultra rare. I actually don't know what this card does, though. Equip only to a face-up Xyz monster. It gains attack equal to its rank times 200 points. If the equipped monster would detach a material to activate its effect, you could detach this card as one of the materials. Okay, that's actually not a bad card. I'll definitely have to keep that in mind. The only downside is that it works only on Xyz monsters, but that's actually not the worst thing in the world. Okay, so we see another Light Ray Sorcerer and a third Camera Clops. I'm happy to see that. Honestly, we're not really hitting amazing in terms of the holos we're pulling, but to be entirely honest, I'm okay with that. The rares and the commons have been kind of decent. The only thing I'm sad we haven't seen yet is a Photon Papilloperative, but we have 5 packs left, so hopefully we can hit that as the rare. Okay, so we're down to the last 3 packs, and I really want to see a Photon Papilloperative, and maybe a couple more of the Light Ray monsters, but overall, I think we've had a pretty good pull here. So let's flip up. Doesn't look like anything special. Another Seal of Convocation, so that's kind of neat. Second to last pack. Let's see. A Light Ray Diabolos. Okay, that's actually pretty good, I believe. Must be special summoned by having 5 or more light monsters with different names in the grave. Once per turn, banish a light monster from your graveyard. Target a set card your opponent controls. Reveal that target, then place that target on top or bottom of the deck. That's actually a pretty fun little card. So, I'm happy to see one of those. So, we have 1 pack left. Let's see what we get. And it looks like we don't really hit anything specific. But you know what? I'm okay with that. We hit quite a few good cards here, so hopefully we can make use of something here. We'll check it out and see what goes into our deck building. So stay. Okay, so here's the deck we're bringing to tonight's duel, and you see it. We're still playing the Karakuris. The reason for this is because there is a deck I wanted to run with the Light Rays. However, Honest is currently still at 1 copy, and I want Honest to be at least 2 copies before we get to give that a try. And hopefully by that point we'll be able to make a couple of wild cards for an extra couple of cards we want to get. So for now, we're going to go with this. And we do have to make a few adjustments because of the fact that machine dupe is no longer a thing. So we're going to go a little bit more old school with the traditional lists here. So let's go through the card by card. We have 2 copies of Nanishi. Now, we cut down from 3 because without machine duplication, it's a little bit harder to actually get multiple copies of this out anyway. And on top of that, I noticed a problem in our deck in that a lot of our monsters are tuners. So trying to kind of mitigate that a little bit and have a few fewer tuners. Then we have 1 copy of Inashichi, which isn't a tuner, thankfully, but it does let us add a Karakuri from our deck to our hand when it's summoned. We have 3 copies of Nanashik, which we bumped this back up to 3. Basically, this is going to help us get into our bigger synchros in general. 3 copies of Queek, 2 copies of Nishipachi, again, cutting down the tuners ever so slightly. And then we have 2 copies of Saizon, 2 copies of Max C, 1 copy of Sangan, and 1 copy of Witch of the Black Forest. Our monster count is a little bit low in the main deck, but there's a reason for that. Going into our spells, we have 1 copy of Dark Hole, 3 copies of Instant Fusion. At this time, it is still at 3. And basically, this is going to be our way of getting out a few of our important monsters. We pay 1,000 life points, special summon a level 5 or lower fusion monster from the extra deck. And then that monster can basically be used alongside the Nanashik, or Nishipachi, Nanishi, basically any of our tuners here to go into our synchros. Then we have 1 copy of Karakuri Anatomy. Basically, it acts as Pot of Greed, if we could get it working. 3 copies of Karakuri Cash, 2 copies of Karakuri Showdown Castle. Now, the reason we have this card in here is basically because if it's destroyed, we get to add another Karakuri from our graveyard and special summon it, which is kind of helpful. And with multiple copies of MST, that means that we could kind of go neutral, or I guess -1 effectively, but get a monster on the field to continue our plays. We have 1 copy of Limiter Removal, 1 copy of Machine Assembly Line. I wish we had more than 1 copy of this, because I probably would have gotten rid of the castles entirely. So what this card does is all machine monsters on the field gain 200 attack. Unfortunately, that is reciprocal, but oh well. Every time a machine monster face up on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, we get 2 junk counters. Then we can send this card to the graveyard, target a machine whose level is equal to or less than the number of the junk counters that are on the card, special summon it. The nice thing about this is that means that if we could get a bunch of counters, we could even bring back one of the synchro monsters as a result, which is kind of nice. 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon, 1 copy of Pot of Avarice. This is here mostly to bring back some of the monsters that we need to, if we need to get them from the deck specifically, or if we need to bring back some of our extra deck monsters. 1 copy of Pot of Greed, and we are main decking System Down at 3 copies. It's a little bit of an odd choice to do so, but my reasoning is as such. I am expecting Rai to still try to make use of Karakuri, and if he is, this can give us an advantage for Game 1, and if not, we could side it out for Game 2, and it basically is just a flip-flop of what we would normally deal with anyway. And then for the traps, we have 2 copies of Karakuri Trick House. We cut this down by 1 copy just because it does require it being our monster being switched, so unless Rai decides to switch our monster using his effect, it's not as effective. We have 1 copy of Ring of Destruction. This is here basically to help clear out a big threat or maybe stop a combo before it goes off. And then 1 copy of Solemn Warning. For our extra deck, we have 2 copies of Cybersaurus. This is basically what we're going to use for our instant fusions. We have 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon, 1 Colossal Fighter, 1 Gaia Knight, the Force of Earth, 1 Goyo Guardian, 1 Beret, 1 Beredo, 1 Scrap Dragon, 2 Stardust Dragon, 1 Thought Ruler Archfiend, and then we have 17 Leviathan Dragon, and our 2 copies of number 25 Force Focus. Now, this is here specifically because if we're able to get out our... This is basically here as a backup option in case we're able to get out our Gaia Knight and our Goyo Guardian, or something along those kind of lines. Or maybe if we're able to pull a level 6 out of somewhere, or steal one from Rai somewhere. But we can see what happens. If not, we could always keep this hidden in the back and have these ready for later down the road with a light deck. For our side deck, we have 1 copy of Cyber Dragon, 1 Cyber Jar. This is here mostly for the sake of if Rai isn't running Karakuri, we could side this in, give ourselves a little advantage. Depending on what he's running, this could still be helpful in either way. 1 copy of Glow Bulb, 1 copy of Plague Spreader Zombie, 1 Thunder King Ryo, 1 copy of Brain Control. This is here because we could actually make use of his other monsters. In Beret or Beredo, we could use their effect. Or, if we really want to, we could just sack them off in general, potentially. We have 1 copy of Painful Choice. This is here, I guess, mostly to get out some of the dead cards if need be. Or if we side it in alongside some of the tuners like Glow Bulb or Plague Spreader, then we could just get them off immediately into the graveyard. 1 copy of Forceful Sentry, 1 copy of Deep Dark Trap Hole. This is basically going to be in case he brings out his Beret or Beredo, we could shut him down a little bit that way. And then we have 1 less beater on the field, basically. 2 copies of Magic Cylinder, 1 copy of Starlight Road. Probably not as useful at this point, but who cares? And then 3 copies of Threatening Roar. So, guys, this is going to be an interesting situation, and hopefully this works out well for us, but we'll see what happens. So, I guess it's time to duel.
Well, welcome to YCS Chicago, buddy.
Yep. Time to see if I can... The problem is, I am out of the top tables for sure, but you're currently on the bubble, so the question is, do I knock you out?
That is the question, because the card that is on the line is Blood Mephist, which was a card that was never released to the public, and it could take up a spot in our extra deck.
It could, and it's actually a fairly... I mean, it's not like a game-breaking card necessarily, but it is definitely a fairly solid one.
And just to emphasize how difficult it is for us to get a hold of this card, the only other way to get this card in our series is with a Starlight Craft.
Yep.
That is the only other way.
So, let's see...
So this is a very important duel. Let's go ahead and get things started.
That's not a good start.
I needed that. I really needed that. That's absolutely fantastic. I am going to be on the play. Good luck, duelist.
Good luck. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Alright, let's go ahead and draw for the turn. Proceed to the standby phase. Proceed to the main phase. Let's go ahead and... normal summon Inashichi effect.
Why am I not surprised that you're still on this shit?
I gotta try it without dupe.
Fair enough. Alright. Effect's good.
We're gonna grab... what do I want is the question. Let's go ahead and just grab Anatomy. Because this can get cards. Yep, I'm gonna grab Karakuri Anatomy.
Okay.
I don't think there's any reason not to grab Karakuri Anatomy. So let's go ahead and just fire Anatomy. Then I'm going to set 2 and pass.
Okay. Draw. Standby main. This is going to be an interesting one.
I'm very curious to see what you're on, because there was a big FNL list that updated a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Let's see, I'm curious what your face sounds are. Well, you know what? No guts, no glory, I guess. I'm going to activate Instant Fusion.
Interesting. Instant Fusion's fine.
Alright. Which I will bring out a copy of Cybersaurus.
Here we go. We're on the mirror again.
Yes, we are. I will summon out Nanishi.
I don't like this, but I think I'm going to TT here.
Ooh.
I think I have to TT, because otherwise you just start comboing.
True. Alright, I will set 3 cards, and I will throw it to you.
3 back row's fine. Draw for turn. Standby phase good?
Standby's good.
Main. I'm going to run out another Inashichi effect.
Okay.
Inashichi is going to get me... Inashichi is going to get me another copy of Anatomy.
Okay.
Activate Karakuri Anatomy.
Alright.
Let's go to battle.
Okay, 5 in.
5. Not like I have a choice.
True.
I will pass the turn.
Alright, I'll draw. Standby main. And I am going to just set a monster and pass it to you.
Alright, I will draw for turn. Standby phase, main phase. I'm going to normal Nishipachi effect.
Okay.
I'm going to target itself.
Okay, switch it to defense.
So that will trigger both of my anatomies.
Okay.
I'm gonna do
thinking.
Oh, sorry. You have an effect.
Let's see.
Is this specifically chaining to the anatomies, or is this on resolution of them?
This is on resolution of them.
Okay.
Let's see. Because I know exactly what you're about to pull off beforehand. I think I'm going to ring your Inashichi.
Fair.
So that way you can't turn around and draw 4. You can't get double pot of greed off on us.
Yeah, that's a little silly. I'll pass.
Okay. Draw. Standby main. Let's see.
I've been saying for a while that this deck is not nearly as unfair as it was with Machine Duplication.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's see. How do we want to do this exactly is the question. I have a couple of ways to handle some of this. Okay, I'm gonna sacrifice my Witch of the Black Forest to run out a Nanashik.
That's fine.
Alright, which effect?
Sure. That's fine.
I will add... a copy of Queek to my hand.
Sure. Queek is fine.
Then I'm going to activate... I'm going to activate Karakuri Cash, targeting my Nanashik.
That's fine.
Alright, so I will add a copy of Nanishi to my hand.
Nanishi's fine.
Nanashik switches.
Trigger Anatomy Chain Link 1, Anatomy Chain Link 2.
And I will chain Karakuri Trick House. Targeting...
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I'm going to target your Anatomy.
Sure. Chain results.
Okay.
That dealt with one of them.
And I am unfortunately unable to do anything else at the moment, so I will just go to end phase and pass.
Draw for turn. Standby phase. Main phase. I'm going to activate Anatomy.
Okay.
Draw a couple. $18, huh? That's irritating. What do you have set is the question. Let's go... Normal Nanishi.
Okay.
Additional normal summon, Tribute Nanishi.
For Nanashik?
For Nanashik. Nanashik effect.
Effect is good.
I'll draw a card. Let's get the back row out of here.
I got punished for that one. I should have.
Were you trying to warning the?
I was gonna warning the
parade, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was like, I could take out the Nanashik, and then it just turns around and leaves you with the defender. But I thought I could clear out both monsters at once.
No, I think that was fine. I just happened to top deck MST off of.
It was a
off of
top deck. Damn.
Yeah, I drew it. Synchro.
Hoy vey. That sucks.
I'm gonna make Burrito effect.
Okay.
I'm gonna special the other Nanashik from deck.
Okay.
We're gonna go battle phase. I'm gonna clear out the Nanashik with my own.
Alright.
And then 28 direct. Go.
Alright. Draw. Standby. Main.
The deck plays so much differently, but I actually like how this plays more than it played with Machine Duplication. I think it's a lot more engaging and a lot more skill testing.
Our friends in the stands are pointing out something. My Nanashik switched to attack mode when you attack.
You are right, yeah,
so
you
that's
are
gone.
right.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think about that.
You are right.
I'm not used to that kind of detail. Most of them just have the effect of switching to defense when in attack mode, so...
Yeah, that is different. Thank you.
It's always good to have friends on the sideline letting us know.
It is.
Okay, so now we have to figure out what the hell we're doing here.
I think that's still fine.
Okay, so what do I... Unfortunately, I have an out. The problem is it leaves me in a bit of an interesting position. And by interesting, I mean horrifying. So, what can I do here? Okay, I think I have one idea. I'm gonna run out my copy of Nanishi.
Sure.
Second summon, bring out Queek.
On summon, I am going to compulse your Queek.
Oh. And that's the game, because I'm gonna be forced to crash.
Yup. The Karakuri mirror is quite different without machine duplication.
It really is.
I think it tests a different set of skills than it did before machine duplication was banned.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the extra draw, first turn.
Sensible.
Okay. Draw. Standby main. I think I'm going to set a card. Set 2 cards. And pass.
Draw for turn. Standby main. This hand is not good. I'm going to set 2 and pass.
Okay. Draw. Standby main. Well, I guess that gives me one option. The question is, do I like it? Well, I guess it's not as bad. Alright, I'm gonna run out a copy of Nishipachi.
Nishipachi's fine.
Nishipachi's effect, I will put itself to defense.
That's fine.
And Trick House, we will target that card.
Chain Compulse, target your set monster.
Okay. So we'll put that back to hand. Son of a gun. Okay. I will pass the turn.
Draw for turn. Standby phase, main phase.
Alright.
Let's run out Nisamu.
Nisamu. Interesting.
Nisamu okay?
Nisamu's fine?
Battle phase?
What the hell are you planning? Okay.
Right. We just had this discussion about Nanashi. Why are these all different?
I was gonna say, are you about to just... I was like, are you about to waste your freaking, limiter removal for this?
No, I just completely forgot that all these are different.
Well,
it's the whole, like... Yeah, I guess I'm taking 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't really have a choice at the moment, so...
Just go. Why do these all have to be different?
Standby main. Ooh. Ooh, I actually like that. Okay, this is actually an interesting card. The question is, do I want to actually make... How do I make use of it? You know what? Fuck it. Let's have some fun. So I'm going to run out my Witch of the Black Forest.
Sure. That's fine.
Okay. I'm going to sync these off for my beret.
Cannot make beret with Witch of the Black Forest.
Oh, right. Good point. Forgot it has to be machines.
That's why I let the witch happen. But yeah, you're gonna have to make something that's generic.
Well, you know what? Why not? We have our dragon. We don't have to go boom, though.
So you're not activating the effect of Black Rose?
I am not activating her effect.
I'm just gonna torrential then.
Rude. Okay. I think then I'm just going to...
You can still do your witch search.
Oh, right. I completely forgot about the witch.
Yeah, you need to do that.
I think I'm going to add my... this is actually a tough one. You know what? Why not? Let's give it a little insurance. I'm going to add my Max C.
Of course, because... that's one of the reasons why Sangan and Witch of the Black Forest had to get eroded, because you can search hand traps with them.
Yep.
Card for turn. Standby phase, main phase. Let's go Inashichi.
Inashichi is good.
Inashichi effect.
Alright.
I'm gonna grab myself a copy of Queek, I think? Yeah, let's get Queek. Battle.
Alright.
5.
5 it is.
Main 2, I'm gonna set 1. Go ahead.
Alright. Draw. Ooh, that's not a bad one. The question is, how do I go? Actually, this is actually a pretty good way. Alright, so during draw phase, I'm just gonna speed this through and MST the back row.
Sure, that's fine. That was a judgment.
Okay, glad I did that. So, first I'm going to summon out a copy of Queek.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Now, you're gonna actually see a fun little tech card I have.
Alright, let's see this.
I activate Machine Assembly Line.
Oh, that's neat. That's neat.
It is reciprocal, unfortunately. But, when you're dealing with a monster, when it only gives attack, and you're dealing with a monster that switches to defense anyway, not really that big a deal now, is it?
That's actually really good in the mirror. That's really good tech for the mirror.
So that's going to take it out. Queek's effect gets to come in, which means that I can bring in Nishipachi, which we also get 2 counters here.
Yeah, that does. That's really good.
Nishipachi could go into attack mode through his own effect.
Yep, and then I'm just going to take 5 from it. Yep.
7.
That's sick.
700, actually.
Oh, it is 7, you're right.
And then main 2, might as well get the big guys and might as well get one of the big guys going. So we'll bring out
Yeah.
Beret.
Yeah, Beret's fine.
And this time it's legal.
Yup.
And we can bring out any Karakuri. So... let's see. I'm honestly kind of tempted to bring out... You know what? Why not? We're going to bring out a copy of Queek.
Kuik is fine.
And then... How much do I want to insure things? I think we're good. I'm going to pass.
Card for turn. Standby phase, main phase. Let's go... Normal Ninishi effect.
Okay.
Additional normal summon will be Queek.
Okay.
That's good.
That's good.
Synchro.
Okay.
Man, I'd really like to go into Beret right now, but I think this is just too good. Black Rose Dragon, you got a warning?
I don't have a warning, but since we're losing it anyway, I'm going to Deep Dark Trap Hole and banish her.
Yeah. If the summon's good, obviously effective Black Rose. So Black Rose will get banished, and then everything else will go away.
Yep, and unfortunately, I don't have any extra effect going in with the with Machine Assembly Line, because you have to actively send it to the graveyard.
Yep. Indeed. Then I'm just gonna pass the turn.
Alright. Admittedly, I could have Max Seed right there, but honestly, the one card wasn't probably going to make much of a difference.
Yeah, that's what's actually complicating things, is you have Max C. So I have to kind of be a little bit careful with how gung-ho I go on any given turn, because...
True.
It's almost worse knowing that Max C is there.
Okay. Let's start things off with System Down.
Interesting. I know why you're doing this, but it's interesting that you would use System Down on an empty board.
And then I'm going to set a monster and pass the turn.
Card for turn. Standby main.
Okay.
I'll run out Psychic Commander.
Psychic Commander, okay.
Go to battle.
Alright.
Hit.
You have hit my Nishipachi.
Damage step, I'm gonna pay 3.
Alright.
Go.
Draw, standby main. That is probably the best thing I could have drawn.
I mean, Pot of Greed is generally one of the best cards in the game.
Okay. Unfortunately, that doesn't actually do anything to necessarily help me. At least not that I'm aware of. I think I'm just going to... I'm just gonna pass.
Draw for turn. Standby phase. Main phase. Normal Nishipachi, or normal Ina Shichi effect.
Okay.
Let's get... Let's get Kuik to hand. The endless conga line of dudes.
Yep. Okay.
Let's okay.
Before anything.
Are you gonna max C now?
Well, I'm thinking about it because I'm sitting here like, okay, you have a 5 on board. The question is, what 5s do you even have?
Well, there's one I have.
True, you have Android. The question is
is that worth the max C?
Exactly, that's the other issue. I think that's gonna be good. I think I'm not gonna max C. Not yet.
I'm just gonna come in for 19.
Okay.
Then main phase 2. I'm just gonna pass.
Interesting that you were poking around in my graveyard. Standby main. That does not really do what I want it to do, but... Okay. I think I'm going to set a couple of cards, and then I'm going to... I know what that's a problem. I think I'm going to pass.
Card for turn. Standby phase. Main phase. What are your back row is the question. I'm going to try to force something out here. Let me just take a peek again. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to force something out. I'm going to prohibit Ring of Destruction.
Ooh, prohibit Ring of Destruction. Okay.
Does that resolve?
That's good.
Normal Kuik.
Okay. Thinking.
Because not gonna lie, I was thinking about prohibiting Max C.
I'm gonna go ahead and pitch Max C now.
Are you gonna Max C now? That's fine. Let's go to the battle phase then.
Okay.
5.
So that's 5.
14.
14.
17.
And 17. Do you have the limiter removal?
Damage step. I do have it.
Yep, there's nothing I could do about that.
I was also thinking about prohibiting... Oh god, I was about to prohibit System Down, too.
I would have MST'd immediately if you did, but oh well.
Yeah. Yeah, just...
That wouldn't have helped. But my problem basically just boiled down to I didn't draw another monster. I had Nanishi in hand for a couple turns. The problem was I just couldn't do anything to work with it. I don't have a level 5 to really help out here. So
that first system down was so good because I had Overload from the beginning of the game. I was just waiting for Cyber Dragon.
I had a feeling that Overload was going to be a problem potentially. So yeah, I wasn't gonna let that happen.
But I like the dynamic of the Karakuri mirror a lot better without machine duplication, just because the deck feels a lot more fair.
Yeah, it feels a lot less sacky, basically.
I think what the Karakuri deck does post-machine duplication is it feels like it's a mid-range or control mirror, where both sides are trying to eke out as much advantage as possible. And I actually had a really cool side deck plan for more explosive decks when I was on the play. You're gonna find this really interesting. I had 11 trap cards and Temple of the Kings in my side deck.
Ooh, that's actually interesting.
because I have a bunch of proactive trap cards in this deck, especially in the side, that could wind up being very good against certain matchups, but I obviously did not board that in. When I saw that we were on the mirror match, I actually boarded out a lot of my recursion because I have 3 copies of Call of the Haunted between main and side now because Call of the Haunted is at 3.
Right. See, the only reason I don't have Call of the Haunted in this deck specifically is just because of the fact that basically I'm not really I don't really feel like it's gonna be enough to bring. Basically, I look at it like if the deck goes as planned, I'm going to be getting out Beret or Burrito on the field anyway. And if I don't have that in plan and I end up like in this kind of position, okay, Black Rose is one thing because that was mostly just to get a beater on the field and because I screwed up with the Witch. But at the same time, like here, I'd be able to get like Nishipachi or something, but that'd be about it. Like it wouldn't really do anything to help me too much.
The Torrential on Black Rose Dragon was just devastating.
Yeah, the Torrential definitely was a problem. So, but honestly, I had a feeling that you might be running Karakuri again. So, fun fact, the system downs, they were actually main deck.
Whoa!
Basically,
whoa! I was this close to playing Blackwing because I thought you might main deck system down.
See, I
almost pivoted to Blackwing.
My reasoning was basically it's a flip of what usually happens. If I run system down in the side deck, and then you're running Karakuri, okay, game 1 happens, whatever result, I end up siding in, game 2, there we go. In reverse, if you're running Karakuri like I was expecting, then that gives me a bit of an edge from the start. And then if you're not running it, okay, then it's just a reverse situation where I just side them out game 2 and go with something else. Oh, you got a Pappy.
That was the best card I got out of Galactic Overlord.
That's actually a little sad, honestly. I didn't really get anything too spectacular in terms of hollows.
I got one thing above a super rare, and that was the cover card. And the cover card it wins the game on the spot if you can make it, but it's ridiculously hard to make.
What is that one?
Neo Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. It requires 3 level 8s to make.
See, I pulled one of them too, but yeah, I just don't feel like I'd have a way to use it. Like, especially because like I have Galaxy Eyes. Like I have Galaxy Eyes too. It's just getting the other 2 level 8s on the field is the problem.
It's so hard to make. To make that, you basically have to have like a hieratic core, and I think there are too many cards at rare specifically that require that you have to play hieratic because Convocation is rare, and you have to get an Xyz monster. Like hieratic is very much a deck that is accessible to us. You just have to get an Xyz monster.
Right. Which they don't have a whole lot that really comes in handy. Like, specifically, a lot of the big ones to help out with that are,
yeah, they're really high rarity.
Yeah, they're like super rare, and a couple of them, like, one is super rare, one's ultra rare, and then, like, one of them is a secret rare.
Yeah, Heliopolis is secret rare. I mean, if you get that out, it just wins the game.
Pretty much.
I would rather have Photon Strike Bouncer than Heliopolis, because Photon Strike Bouncer, I think, is still the biggest rank 6 in the game. Like, the biggest generic rank 6.
Right.
And just Photon Strike Bouncer is really good.
Well, that didn't go as expected, but oh well. Time to go into the prizing.
It is.
Okay, so unfortunately that match did not pan out as we had hoped, but at least we still get 2 spins on the catch-up wheel. We are going to forego the automatic 10 packs of the Raw Yellow Mega Pack that is available. So we're going to see what we can hit. I'm hoping to hit some wild cards to make use of, and maybe a ban would be kind of nice, but I'm not sure. Oh. Okay, that makes a hell of a difference for us. So, we need to figure out what we want to start with. Okay, so for the first of our 3 wildcards, I'm going to pick up a copy of Legendary Six Samurai Shien. This is basically one of the big boss monsters of the Six Samurai deck, and it's very good. It has a once per turn effect that you can negate a spell and trap card and destroy it, and that's once per both players' turn. And the nice part, too, is that if it would be destroyed by battle or a card effect, we could just pop another Six Samurai instead. So that's actually pretty solid. For the second card, we're going to pick up a copy of Shien's Smoke Signal. This is basically the Rhoda for the archetype anyway, and this gives us our second copy, which right now it's limited to 1, so it's not as strong anyway, but even if we don't get a full 3, 2 copies is definitely enough, especially with a Rhoda in our back pocket anyway. So we only need a couple more key cards for the Six Samurai deck to basically finalize it. I think overall we need, I want to say it's like 1 or 2 copies of Kageki, which are rares, and then another monster that is for, I think it's a super rare, and we actually have plenty of time to pick that up. So with that, we're going to pick our third copy, our third wild card, and I have to go for it. I really have to go for it. We're going to go for a third copy of Max C. This card does not get limited or banned for quite a while, and to be quite frank, I feel like this is going to make Rai really mad, but at the same time, it also kind of balances that in the sense of now it's going to be technically considered less sacky, just because of the fact that we have a full play set to work with, so that's going to make that a little bit nicer. So, yeah. With that being said, now we have to spin one more time. And, honestly, if we hit another ban, I'll be happy to take that. So let's see what we can hit here. Oh? Oh, an ultra rare. Ooh, okay, so we have to come up with something now. So, after careful consideration, I noticed that the ultra rares for our sets here aren't as spectacular as I would have liked. We do have options for something like, say, Night Beam or a Hieratic Dragon of Sutekh, but Night Beam we don't really need to worry about since we have 3 MST anyway, and the Hieratic Dragon Sutekh is kind of, it's alright, but I don't think it's necessarily required right now. And realistically speaking, the rest of the ultra rares available to us aren't super amazing. So we're just going to go ahead and pick up a second copy of Shien, which will help build out the deck very nicely once we get to that point. So with that being said, we're going to go into the next episode. It's going to be a very fun little treat. It's not going to be not Duelist Revolution. It's not going to be Return of the Duelist, but instead it's going to be a fun little side project we're going to do. And we'll see about that once we get to it. But until then, guys, we will catch you guys next time. Have a great day.